This weekend, hundreds of frame builders descended upon Portland to talk to strangers for 3 days straight. It was a unique opportunity to speak with some of the greatest builders. The builders in this video not only exemplify great work, but also they are great people. First up is the fan favorite, Curtis Ingles of Retrotec. When I was writing notes, I put in Retrotec into my phone, and it auto-corrected to retirement. Do you have any comments?
I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
But I just had my 30th anniversary, and I would love to not see my 40th.
Oh, okay.
Everybody says they enjoy bikes, and all of us, you wouldn't stay in the bike industry if you didn't, I don't think. I still love building the bikes, like finding customers and all that sort of stuff. Like that side of the business isn't as exciting, but the actual getting out in the shop and building people's bikes.
Someone referred to you as the quintessential American frame builder. Do you agree?
No, I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's a little above my vocabulary as well.
Yeah.
But I do think it's true. Like when I think of American frames, I think of obviously the mountain bike movement with the cruisers, and you are cruiser daddy. You've really perfected it. You've made it iconic, and I mean, to me that is the quintessential American design.
I don't know about that. I just build what I enjoy. I probably if I build 10 bikes, 8 of them are Retrotecs.
Yeah.
I still build Ingles and really enjoy building those as well. But like all my personal bikes right now are all Retrotecs and have been for quite a while.
Yeah.
When I think of a new bike that I want to build myself, it has some sort of cruiser-esque look.
One thing I admire about you is you still ride a lot, and you're fitter than me, and you always rub that in my face. How often do you ride?
I probably only ride 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
2 usually, but 3, I try to do one midweek ride and 1 or 2 rides on the weekend.
Yeah. Do you feel like frame building has enabled that lifestyle a little bit, or do you think you would still be riding bikes if you're doing something else?
I would still be riding bikes. Sometimes, people always think that you have all this free time, or you make your own schedule. But then the guilt of going riding in the middle of the day, you get caught up in building something or working in the shop, and you're just like, I can't ride today.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, you're too tired to go ride in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And there's just a point where I would say it gets in my way more often than it's just it's a perfect day out, I'm going to go ride all day.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's no, I give myself a deadline on something that I want to build, and I stay in the shop and do it.
What advice would you give to, I guess, the people who, I want to say frame builders, right? But the people aspiring to frame build, or are a fan of your bikes, or just someone who's wanting to step into this world, be a little creative, do their own thing?
Just keep practicing what you're doing. 30 years ago, I wasn't able to produce bikes at this level, and I'm still learning and getting to work with other people or getting to see what other people are doing. The whole idea of having the internet now to be able to learn from, right?
Yeah.
I think there's just a ton of stuff out there that there's a lot to be learned and to be applied to what you're doing.
Yeah. And I
don't
guess
be too worried about trying something new and then riding it and seeing, and then building something else and seeing how it differs.
Yeah. I guess that goes back to the whole, you've been doing it for so long, close to retirement maybe. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm just putting that out there. You can keep doing it. You're fitter than me. I'm about to give up. But I think if you're still inspired to do it and you still find it exciting, you're going to learn and you're going to continue to progress. Right?
Yeah. I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
I've always thought that I would do this. Just do a few less as I got older and older.
Yeah.
And I still want to produce a full-time job's worth of work. And I still enjoy bike riding and seeing, working with friends and figuring out new ideas that work and don't work. So it's good.
That's cool. Yeah, appreciate that. It's good.
All right.
Yeah. Next up is Chris Wahl of Mischief Cycles in Seattle, Washington. If you do a bit of digging, you will find that Chris has an insane resume. You're a really accomplished doctor of medicine. Why bikes?
The main reason is because I just kind of got to this place in my career as an orthopedic surgeon where I was just working bell to bell, right? And I was taking care of people who were out doing cool stuff and having a great time and hurting themselves doing the things they loved. But somehow, like, I got to this point in my career where, I was waking up at 5:30 in the morning and going to bed at 10:30 at night and working between the two. And there was this whole side of my life that I'd kind of left behind.
Yeah.
And I started for the first time thinking, like, this is not sustainable. I got to do something different. And I cold called Davidson one day and just said, hey, this sounds crazy, but I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I don't want anything from you. I don't want to buy a bike. I want to come and see what this whole thing is about.
Yeah.
And there's like this long silence.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, come on by. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I was expecting a hard no.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was expecting to give one. He goes, but I'm intrigued, so come by. This is the latest sort of horse in the stable. It's based on sort of Rene Hurst / Alex Singer randonnée geometry, so kind of designed to be a randonnée, which I sort of see, again, as being a corridor of indifference in the industry. Right? In a weird way, randonnée is clearly the forebear of gravel riding, right? I mean, these are born of the Concours de Machines in France starting in 1919, where you had to bring a bike that was capable of being lit, fendered, and durable enough to withstand the trials of the concourse, right?
There's something about the connection, the mind-body connection with the hand, that when you're doing it, you feel everything. You have that, like,
it's tactile.
Yeah, and sounds like you kind of find that a little bit in the frame building as well.
Oh, it's that's the part of it that brings me joy. The business ownership part of it is what you have to endure to be able to sit there. Right?
The marketing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. Which we're terrible at and maybe okay at, but that's the zen, right? I mean, I can spend hours in the shop working and building and mitering these tubes, and you put it in the jig, and the whole thing lines up.
Bryce and Mike are the owners of Number 22. They brought an amazing aero road bike to this show. I was so excited, I forgot to do an intro. But yeah, tell me about this bike. I know. Really expensive bike stand, right?
It is actually the world's most expensive bike stand.
This is, I love this bike.
Thanks.
The design, there's things about it that made me rethink how things could be shaped in a bike, which is
cool. Thank you.
Which is impressive. But
we wanted to make an aerodynamic bike, but we also wanted to make a titanium bike. So what does that mean for the language, right? Like, we didn't want it to look like a carbon copy of a carbon bike that's just printed in Thai. Why, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love it, because yes, it is printed, but it still looks like a metal bike. Like, there's still features of it that are distinct from, like, influence from CNC machining.
Exactly,
or influence from metal bikes, but it's, that's why I love it.
And even in, like, the design of it, like the iterations, like this cutout on the front, which I think is probably the part most people are talking about, was actually like an extractive move, as you would machine something away from a solid. Trying to think about that language from actually how it was modeled as well was sort of an interesting exercise.
Yeah. So when you said you learned on shape to be able to do this, right?
While doing this,
Do you feel like you were able to manifest your vision for it with the tools? Like, did you get to that level with the tool that you could express what you visualize, or did you start getting in the software and then realizing there's things you could do and then shaping it?
That's a good question. I would say this is pretty true to what I was doing with some really rudimentary forms before really digging into how this would work for production with Onshape. So I would say it was about sort of playing with the primary essential design moves, and then figuring out how to really clean that up and in surfacing and Onshape, etc. And that was definitely incredibly educational exercise, but also very trying at times. Like, damn it, how do I make this? I know what this is supposed to look like. How do I get Onshape to do that? But it was an incredible learning experience for sure.
Exactly, You guys have been doing this for like 15 years, 20?
We started the company in 2012. We opened the factory in 2014. So it's been 12 years, a dozen years of design, and then 10 years of really controlling our own production.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It's been quite a while, and you're still finding ways to do new things, learn new tools. I mean, That's got to feel good, right? You're not stagnating. Or
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. Like when we started this company, I think our model was contemporary performance, artisan precision, and this was like the big barrier was how do you do the Carbon always had one up on us was okay. We're like you can't really do convincing contemporary aerodynamic bike out of traditional tube forming and construction methods of titanium. So 3D printing opened the door to that. It's just all right, let's do a bike that's not just a tie aero bike, but an aero bike which can punch with the carbon bikes.
Ashley has built frames for other companies for many years. She now does her own thing under Significant Other Bikes. What is Significant Other? Maybe let's start with that.
What is Significant Other? It is a rebranding of how I felt starting off in the industry. I felt other, and in a negative way, and Significant Other is my way of kind of taking that history and pushing it into a more positive space with bikes I think are cool, bikes that I like and enjoy, and sharing that with other people.
What would you say your design style or your aesthetic?
Someone just asked me that. I like simple lines. Besides Miles's bike behind me, I'm not very loud. I like to play with shade and tone and shine, things like that. I think my eye is drawn to certain ratios, like certain tubing diameters and how they play off of each other and how they feel. This pinion bike is for a client, and I've always wanted to do a twin top tube bike. I asked the rider if they were game, if she was interested, and she was like, heck yeah, like whatever you want, just go for it. It was not straightforward. It was very difficult and expensive to figure out, but I was determined to kind of make happen what was in my mind. Started in my mind, then went into CAD, and then came out in real life. I'm here because I think I made some pretty cool frames this summer that I'm proud of, and I just wanted to show them. I don't know, maybe it could inspire someone else, maybe not. But yeah, I'm proud of my work and would like people to see it.
Chris Blandsford was new to the show, but not new to building. I think he makes some amazing, traditionally styled frames.
I think when you're picky about every single square inch of something and you have a vision for what you're building, then hopefully when you're done with the overall thing, there's something that shines about it. I spend probably half my time building just stepping back and staring at stuff.
Yeah.
I come from a design background, so I'm a graphic designer in a previous life, and I've always appreciated lines and negative space and color and contrast and stuff. So you'll notice I mix silver and black parts in a really weird way, and you may not notice that if like most bikes at the show are all silver parts or all black parts. On this little Byland seat guy, the curve of this lug part, I actually designed it the natural radius curve from the top tube into the seat stays. Yeah. So a lot of times you'll see this come down to a point or something, and I want to do something a little different. So that's one of those thousands of decisions, right, where I cut it so that this would be a curve. I'm pretty uncompromising on stuff too. There's a lot of track drop out there you can buy, but the problem is
you made those, right?
Yeah, when they're tabbed, the angle of the tabs never lines up perfectly. So, but with laser cutting, it's super easy. Yeah. So the angle of the tabs into the dropouts matches the stays. Yeah. So you don't have this weird seat stay into and then you got this weird kink or something, right?
I know, I know exactly what you mean. You don't have a website,
It's coming. It'll be live tomorrow.
Are you selling them, or how can someone get them?
I was gonna use the show to gauge interest and see if people would want to buy these fancy city bikes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love
the e-bike. I think that one's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. I am gonna launch and officially, start this. But I don't want to build more than a handful a year. Yeah. So it may take me a long time.
Very cool. So the other question I had is your shop.
Oh yeah.
Talk about
inspiration, huh?
It's not as cool as the photographs make it seem. I've got
Yeah.
a little OCD when it comes to organizing and stuff. So
Yeah.
I cannot work in a dirty shop. Like dirty work comes out of dirty shops. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could not have produced these bikes in a chaotic shop environment. I just have to have that peaceful quietness. So I set up that space. These are the first 3 to come out of there.
Yeah.
But it's only 200, I guess it's 400 square feet. It's small.
Yeah.
But
It's cool. Yeah.
I got plants.
Brother-sister duo Mark and Kelly of PROVA built some amazing bikes. The shape of flow of their frames inspired me to sharpen my skills further to get to their level.
Why did you choose to leave the cushy world of engineering and pursue this crazy circus of frame building?
Well, part of it's because the automotive industry in Australia basically got shut up when GM and Ford pulled out of manufacturing locally.
Yeah.
That's the easy excuse, I suppose.
Yeah.
Excuse, but
Yeah.
reason. Like the real reason is just I got further and further away from the reason why I did engineering in the first place.
Yeah.
And I saw a way of getting back to like that. I love creating and I love designing things and then making them. So I saw it as a way of actually being able to just do all of that and not have anyone tell me what to do in terms of you can't design it like that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. When you left engineering to do PROVA,
yeah.
was it
gradual.
a leap of faith, or did you have a plan, or did you know? Was it like, oh, I'm just going to do this for fun, or?
I definitely had a plan, and I gradually transitioned from full-time engineering, part-time engineering to then full-time program.
So you did
over a period of years.
You did it intelligently,
I tried to,
like a good engineer.
Yeah. Because when I started engineering, it was more about actual proper design work and manufacturing, and then I slowly moved into the space of more control system development and calibration work. So my last job as an engineer was calibrating stability control, so test driving, analyzing data, making changes to calibrations, retesting. It's a lot of driving. I've done hundreds of laps of the Nürburgring, testing. I just kind of got a bit over it.
Someone would have called that a dream job.
Yeah. But I just I don't know. I just felt a bit sick of it.
Yeah.
And then I went to Bespoke and met people like Ricky Feather and stuff, years and years ago.
Yeah.
And saw it was like someone coming into this show for the first time as an engineer, not knowing much about it. You'd be like, wait, what? There's an industry of people doing this.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
So that kind of that was the spark.
What do you think the most rewarding aspect of doing PROVA is compared to a traditional job?
Creating an object that is both incredibly functional and usable, but also something that's incredibly beautiful to my eyes. So that's kind of
expression.
Yeah. And I love being able to kind of design, add shape and just pleasing shapes and things to the designs that we do, which is what printing's really allow us to accelerate. For us. I suppose it's really about seeing something that you've kind of pictured in your mind. Had to create a bunch of splines and surfaces to try and translate what's in your head to CAD. Stare at it for ages.
I know exactly what you mean.
Finally, the gem of frame building, Rob English.
What came first, the last name or the accent?
I guess I had the name before I was speaking, so.
Yeah. I was thinking about who are the great American frame builders, and I was wondering if we were allowed to claim you as an American frame builder, or do you think the British people still claim you?
Well, technically I'm both now, right? Got my citizenship last year, so
Yeah.
I was going to do a bike with American on the down tube as a gag.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty funny, but okay, so we can claim you? Great American frame builder?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So when I look at your bikes, I think they're probably some of the most unique designs. A lot of these bikes, you take the paint off and you can't really tell, but there's something about an English that makes it an English. What do you think that is?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'd have distinctive silhouette, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it's just the form follows function nature of engineering-led design.
Yeah.
So everything's kind of what it needs to be and no more. So it's just bared down to.
Yeah. It's almost like the simplest things are the hardest to achieve, right?
Can be.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot about you build exclusively with steel, stainless steel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you utilize the strength of that material in a very unique way. Like it's very steel. Like a lot of the custom shaping that you do, the slim seat stays, the way things form together, that's to me what makes it so unique. But I mean, do you feel like there's something special with working with steel that gives it that look?
I mean, it's such an incredible structural material. It's one of those things, like, I think if it was discovered now, people would be like, oh, it's the wonder material. Look how strong it is. Look how stiff it is.
Yeah.
And so it's actually just going back to the basic, okay, what are the material properties we're working with?
Yeah.
And let's optimize each part of the structure using that knowledge.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, and it seems like every year the seat stays get slimmer. What year will we have 1/8-inch stays?
You know, it's funny, I've been riding around on 5/16s, and it tests exactly the same in terms of
0.35 Wahl?
028.
028, wow, dang.
So that's 8 millimeters and 0.7 for those metric.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I could go to 1/4 inch, but just I can't quite bring myself to do it because it feels a bit ridiculous.
So next year we'll see the 1/4 inch one.
We'll have to do one just to try it.
Yeah. Do you think? What if you bumped up the wall thickness? Do you think you'd do 1/4 inch, or you'd still do?
I think 1/4 inch
0.28?
035 would probably be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just at what point does it get small enough that the small forces in that will allow for some buckling, and could that even be a way to tune some compliance?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It's worth continuing the journey. It's just like taking the time to build a test frame. And
how do you still find inspiration to keep doing it? What gives you excitement when you go in and build?
Oh, the beauty of what I do, where each is a custom one-off, is I've got a relationship with that customer and I've got them in mind when I'm building, so I'm excited about creating this bike for them.
Sorry, England. You heard it from Rob himself. He is our great American frame builder. Rob, American. I found these conversations really inspiring, and I hope you did too. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. Also, do me a favor and check out what we are doing at Artefact and Neuhaus. I think we make pretty cool bikes too. I know, they are out of many of your budgets, but I promise we're working on something special.